This reading is by Teresa Swartz, called The Invitation. We know the story. An angel of the Lord appeared to the shepherds. The glory of the Lord shone around them. A great light descends on dark fields. Happy angels and cherubim sing for joy, play their lutes, and dance about to defy the gravity of earthly cares. In our happy Christmas narratives, we can forget the shepherds were afraid. What is this fear of God? In my Sunday school lessons, God was a warm, fuzzy old man, replete with gray beard. Jesus loved me because the Bible told me so. And I glued cotton balls on stiff construction paper to make sheep for the Good Shepherd. As a small child, I secretly opened the Bible and I read. It didn't take long to find God and fear mingled together in the same lines. I didn't understand, but I knew it wasn't about fluffy lambs or grandfatherly gods. In the Hebrew scriptures, the fear of God is an active obedience to the divine will. But I think it's also a shaking of body and soul, awe at something, wholly other, something catches, my heartbeat quickens, and I shake, even a little, at the thought of those strange glimpses that brought me to my knees. The numinous is a mystery that terrifies and fascinates. We are tempted to reduce the whole of the Christmas story to a kinder, gentler God, somewhat akin to the jolly and portly fellow in the red suit. We wrap our seasonal theology neatly with a red bow. But what we have here are terrifying and fascinating dreams and apparitions, enough to make you lay down your work and follow your vision. That's what the shepherds did. They ran from that place in search of the strange, the holy. What star are we waiting for to lay down our labors and follow a vision? A strange vision? A frightening glory? Peculiar and unfamiliar fancies that we would risk losing the labors of our day to a brilliant, crazed moment in the night? Could we hear the bizarre voices at all? Or are we too busy tending our sheep to see the hand of God in the strange turns of our lives? The shepherds ran, leaving their sheep. And the one they ran to would tell the fishermen to lay down their nets, leave their fish, run to be fishers of men and women and dreams. For a moment, follow the dream, the hope, despite your shaking. Receive the annual invitation, face the awesome vision, lay down your labors, abandon all reason for now. Once again, God is with us, and we can risk our daytime sensibilities for strange dreams and fearful fascinations. Run across the muddy, cold fields.
Our next carol is all the verses of Angels We Have Heard on High. You can rise if you still have the energy to.
Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, a magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east, and we have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard of this, he was troubled, and all of Jerusalem with him. Gathering together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for this is what has been written by the prophets. And you, Bethlehem, land of Judea, are by no means least among the leaders of Judea. For out of you shall come forth a ruler who will shepherd my people of Israel." Then Herod secretly called the Magi and determined from them the exact time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child, and when you have found him, report to me so that I too may come and worship him." After hearing the king, they went their way, and the star, which they had seen in the east, went on before them until it came and stood over the place where the child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. After coming into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell to the ground and worshiped him. Then, opening their treasures, they presented to him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
In a far land, upon a day where never snow did fall, 3 kings went riding on the way, bearing presents and all. And one wore red, and one wore gold, and one was clad in green, and one was young, and one was old, and one was in between. The middle one had human sense, the young had loving eyes, the old had much experience, and all of them were wise. Choosing the guide by eve and morn of heaven's starry drifts, they rode to find the newly born for whom they'd carried gifts. Oh, far away in time they rode upon their wanderings, and still in story goes abroad the riding of the kings. So wise that in their chosen hour, as though the world they filed, they sought not wealth or place or power, but rode to find a child.
Kings or wise men, professors or priests, we aren't quite sure who they were. But the story tells us they knew an impossible truth. It's easy to reject the idea that they saw a star and they knew there was a child king born in Bethlehem. Our rational minds tell us something doesn't quite work there. But in the darkest time of year, we find that miracles shine the brightest. Perhaps the kings knew something we don't. And when they went to see this child, this newborn king, it is said they went to worship him, bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And these gifts might have been puzzling to the child's parents and to the rest of us, because honestly, what kind of gifts are those for a kid? They weren't a puzzle to the kings. They were precious and meant to show how much they honored and cared for this boy. So this is the opportunity we also embrace tonight. Tonight we'll be collecting an offering to support the minister's discretionary fund. And this is a fund used to help people in our community when they are in need. It's a chance to participate in showing precious care for one another. And if you're a guest with us tonight, you're welcome to contribute or let the plate pass you by. It is your presence here that is a gift to us. Please join me in the first verse of We Three Kings of Orient Are.
The queens came late, but the queens were there, with gifts in their hands and crowns in their hair. They'd come, these three, like kings from afar, following, yes, that guiding star. They'd left their ladies, linens, and looms, their children playing in nursery rooms, and told their sitters, "Take charge, for this is a marvelous sight we must not miss." The queens came late, but not too late, to see the animals small and great, feathered and furred, domestic and wild, gathered to gaze at a mother and child. And rather than frankincense and myrrh and gold for the babe, they brought for her who held him a gold-spun gown of blue and chicken soup with noodles too, and a lingering, lasting cradle song. The queens came late and stayed not long, for their thoughts already were straining far, past manger and mother and guiding star, and child aglow as a morning sun, toward home and children and chores undone.
The incredibly popular Christmas hymn, Joy to the World, was written 300 years ago by Isaac Watts. It's one of my favorite hymns because it's so upbeat, so joyful, so very full of hope, no matter what else is happening. So you can imagine my surprise when I learned that Joy to the World hadn't been intended as a Christmas hymn at all. It's actually based on a psalm and is about the return of Jesus rather than about his birth. Here are the words it's based on. They're from Psalm 98, 4-9. Shout joyfully to the Lord, all the earth. Break forth and sing for joy and sing praises. Sing praises to the Lord with the lyre and the sound of melody, with the trumpets and the sound of the horn. Shout joyfully before the King, the Lord. Let the sea roar and all it contains, the world and those who dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands. What a great image. Let the mountains sing together for joy before the Lord, for he is coming to judge the earth, and he will judge with righteousness and the peoples with equity. So it's a psalm ultimately about the end of division, the end of hate, the end of oppression, the end of injustice. It's about a world where joy is so deep and so wide and so complete that the rivers clap and the mountains sing. Have you ever felt that kind of joy? Take just a moment to think about it, to think about a time when joy welled up inside of you from your feet up through your body, and it was so strong that the world around you felt like it was singing. As you take just a few moments to do that, I want to invite you to say one word, a name or a word, something representing that joy. Bring it with you into this room tonight. Boop. This is what we need. This is why we sing Joy to the World on Christmas Eve, to remind us that joy is possible, even in beginnings, even when we don't know what's coming, even when we feel like we're in danger. We honor this story and this child, but let's also celebrate every child and every former child with joy and hope for their future and ours together. Please rise as you're willing and able and join me in singing Joy to the World. We're going to sing all the verses.
After the stores have closed. Ed Cyril. After the stores have closed and the final presents have been wrapped, beyond the ding, ding, ding of Salvation Army handbells, beyond the steady, efficient computer click of cash registers, beyond the sometimes gay, sometimes reverent drone of Christmas music, there will come the deep silence of Christmas Eve. It is the thoughtful silence of watching and waiting, the silence of the winter's longest night. You will look into the star-pocked dome of infinity and shiver compulsively. Yet your heartbeat will give such wonderful comfort that a feeling of utter holiness becomes an unuttered prayer. At that moment, you will know why the shepherds who kept watch through the night heard the hosannas of a heavenly host.
As we move into a few moments of silent prayer and meditation, I want to ask a logistical question. Does everybody who wants one have a candle? If you don't, raise your hand. Gretchen, a few people need a candle, Paul. Can somebody help Paul bring some candles forward? Yes. If you can raise your hand for just a moment. I think they're getting candles. There we go. Okay. There's a couple people over here and a couple people over here. All right, logistics complete. As we move into the quiet of this precious night, I want to invite you to take a few moments of prayer and meditation. In the chaos and bustle of the Christmas season, we get so little time for quiet. Take a moment to hold in your heart all of the love and hope you hold for this world and for the future. As we begin to light candles, I want to remind you to tilt the candle that has not been lit and light it from the candle that has been lit. And when we are each holding a light that reminds us all of the light we have within, the holy spark we carry, we will sing Silent Night together. Please join me in singing Silent Night. the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and queens and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, when all the candles have been extinguished. The work of Christmas begins, to find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the people, and to make music in the heart. Go in peace, go in love. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.